So we're going to create a three-dimensional model of the butt joint here. Now we're going to go off of the dimensions that are outlined on the website. All right, so we have the 8 inches long by 2 and 5/8 inches tall by 3/4 inches thick. Okay, we're going to use those two pieces to create this joint here. So here's what we're going to draw. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new part studio. So I already created that. Now we're going to draw a quick sketch. We can do this a few different ways, um, but this is just one way of doing it. So I'm going to click sketch, choose the front plane. Now I could go line by line, but I'm going to just click corner rectangle and draw this from the center origin. So I'm going to click and drag, and I can dimension now or later. So I'm going to dimension now. So when I click once, you'll see this is open. I don't have to click anything in this dimension. The fact that it's white and has the numbers inside of it means that I can now type in a number, and it will allow me to put in 8, and then I could put in 2 and 5/8. Now, I can put fractions in here, but I know that 5/8 is 0.625 as a fraction, so I can just put 2.625, enter, and there is my side profile of one of the pieces of wood. Now I'm going to hit escape. And now if I want, I can just click and drag and move these numbers out of the way, these dimension numbers out of the way. I'm going to title this sketch as piece 1, green check mark. Now I'm going to rotate. It's still just a two-dimensional piece. So what I need to do is get rid of, I have an extra piece up here. I'm just going to get rid of this. So what we need to do is extrude this. So we're going to click the extrude command or shift E and extrude this 3/4 of an inch. So I can type in here where it says depth 0.75, or I could type in 3/4 of an inch. Okay, this is a new part. I'm going to title this extrusion piece 1, green check mark. So now we have one block of wood. So we have, if I'm looking back to my original model, we have this piece here, part 1. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to draw this connector. We're going to draw this as it is assembled. So I can do this a few different ways. I'm going to come over to this, I'm going to rotate it around. So I'm looking at this side, the right side, but I'm going to start my drawing on the face of the end here. So I click this face, and click sketch. Now I'm going to click the right side on the view cube or N on the keyboard, but orients my view a little differently. And now what I'm going to do is draw that same rectangle, corner rectangle, and I'm going to draw it from either the bottom or the top corner of this piece. So I'm going to click drag, and I already lined it up with this, so it's already 2.65 height, and I'm going to define the length as 8 inches. Now we have this sketch, as you can see here, still 2D. I'm going to name this sketch as piece 2. Now I need to extrude it just like I did before. I'm going to extrude this. Click the extrude command, click the face I want to extrude, and make sure I'm extruding in the right direction, right? I want this to butt up against this piece. So I want to reverse the direction and change the depth to 0.75. This is a new part, and I'm going to title this extrusion piece 2. Oops. Make sure you don't click add. Make sure you click new when you create the extrusion. It's a new part. And we now have our part 1 and our part 2. And we have created the butt joint. So almost there. Okay, so now we need to create the countersink, the holes for the screws. So we could draw circles and extrude the circles. We're going to use this command called the hole command. Um, but before we do that, what we're going to do is create a sketch. So uh, I'm going to right click this part because we're screwing in from this face through here into this part. So click this face, click sketch, and then reorient yourself to that view by hitting N or using the view cube. Okay. Now, if we look at our drawing, our holes here, we have to draw these two holes, and they're countersunk. So each hole is 3/8 of an inch over from the left, right? From here to here is 3/8, and then it's 9/16 from the top down on either end. So from this end to this end, from this end to this end, here to here. And also it's countersunk. The pilot hole comes down 1¼ inch from the top. And the countersink itself is 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to create this. First, plotting out these two holes here. So if we go back to Onshape, we're on the sketch. We're going to create a point. So I click this button up here called the point. We're just going to place this here. And what we're going to do now is dimension it. So if we look at our actual drawing, so we have to mark it's 3/8 over by 9/16 down. So if I hit the dimension key, for the dimension this, 3/8 inch over. So that's 0.375. Enter. And from top to bottom, if we check our dimension, our drawing here, it's 9/16 from here to there. The 9/16 decimal form is 0.5625. Enter. And we have our decimal point. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click the point command again and do the same thing here. Okay, I could also mirror this. So I could redraw that. There's another button up here, another command called the mirror command. So if you highlight over here, my cursor is blinking. Select the mirror line. It's going to ask me to select a mirror line. What I'm going to do is, depending on where I drew this, I'm going to select this plane, the front plane, because that bisects through this piece here. So if I click this, and I click the entity that I want to mirror, click the point, it'll mirror my piece exactly. So there's that second point. Now, if I didn't want to do that, I could click the point again up in the command bar. I hover over my point, my original point, bring it down, it'll lock it on that plane, and I will only need to dimension the distance from here to here using the dimension command, 0.5625. And we have our two holes that we're going to reference for our circle. All right, so I'm going to type this sketch, type in holes. Now, we have our 2 points for the holes. Now, we need to countersink these. So looking at our drawing, we're countersinking these. The countersink itself is an 1/8 inch down. The pilot hole is 1 1/4 inch. The diameter of the actual hole itself is 3/8 of an inch. So if we go back here to our drawing, I'm going to click the hole command. We're out of the sketch. It looks like a square, a cube with a circle through it. So click this. Now click the 2 points where we want to put the holes. And this is pretty straightforward from here out. So that first line there is the pilot hole. So I'm going to, the dimensions for this are, I think I have 1/16. So I put 1/16, type that in as fractions. It'll read that. There's my pilot hole. The diameter of the countersink itself, right? If you look at the drawing, it's 3/8 of an inch. 3/8. The depth of that that hole is 1.25 inches. So that would be this block here, 1.25. So the first line right here is the pilot hole. That's 1/16 of an inch. Which is kind of thing we could probably do 1/8 would probably be more appropriate, but it's fine. It's just a drawing. This line here, the second, is the actual width of the countersink. So that's 3/8 of an inch. The last line here, that is the depth of the pilot hole. Okay, we can't see it through all these pieces. We can see it when we show hidden lines in the drawing. So that is all the measurements we're going to mess with. Now, we could change this. This is countersunk, meaning it has the kind of angled or beveled edge. So it kind of has that V cone shape. If we wanted what's called a counter bore, we could go up here where it says countersink in the command bar. I could change this to counter bore, and you can see the depth, right? So it would make a flat surface on the bottom rather than the cone of the countersink. So this just depends what we're doing. For this model, it's fine. For what we're actually building, the countersink works. So we can leave the countersink. We don't have to use the counter bore. Okay. So countersink as is, looks fine. Hit the green check mark, and you have your model complete. You have your two parts, part one, part two. You have your holes with the pilot holes and the countersink. And that's what we're looking for.